Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Marcus, and today I'm going to be taking you through 2 N8N workflows that are going to scrape unlimited leads for your business. So we all know leads are the lifeline of all businesses. Without leads, you're not going to make any money. So I put together these 2 N8N workflows that are going to scrape leads from Apollo and then also scrape leads from LinkedIn. So let's dive straight into it and move on to N8N. Okay, so I'm in N8N now, and these are the 2 workflows that we are going to be covering in this video. So the first one being the LinkedIn profile scraper, and then the second one being the Apollo lead scraper. So they both work with a form input, so we'll be just filling out a basic form, and then from there, we'll then scrape the leads. So the LinkedIn one will be using the Google Search API, and the Apollo one will be using Apify. And then once we've scraped those leads, we will be populating a Google Sheet. So this Google Sheet here, as you can see, full name, email, title, LinkedIn, company name, company website, and summary. So yeah, that is pretty much it. We're going to start with the LinkedIn. Actually, I forgot to mention, if you want to follow along and download these templates, you can do so from the description of this video. There'll be a link there, and you can grab both of these templates and the Google Sheet to follow along. So starting with the LinkedIn profile scraper, we're pretty much just going to go straight into it. I'll show you a quick example of how it's going to work. But essentially, we're going to fill out this form. So here we go. Quickly add in some basic stuff here. If I can type. And then we'll just put 50 in the profile quantity for this tutorial / example video. So I'm going to submit the form, and then as you can see, we have the output here. I'm just going to pin this data, and then we're actually going to run it. So what this is going to do is this section here is going to figure out how many profiles we want to scrape. So in this case, it's 50. And then we're going to set a few fields, and then we're going to loop through 5 times. So how the Google Search API works is it scrapes a whole page at a time, and there are 10 results per page. So if we want 50 results, then this is essentially going to be scraping 5 pages, if that makes sense. While this is running, we'll head over to this, and you can see that the fields have been populated already. We've got 50 pretty quickly in here already. So this template and workflow only populates the full name, the title, and the LinkedIn section with also the summary section, whereas the Apollo workflow fills in all of these fields: the full name, the title, the LinkedIn, the company name, the company website, and the summary. But yeah, just wanted to point that out there just so you don't think that we're missing some fields here. This is exactly how it's meant to look for this LinkedIn profile scraper. So yeah, like that is essentially how this works. We fill out the form, and then we scrape the web. I'll show you how this works. So this is basically what we're doing. We're taking this site.linkedin.com URL here, and we're using it to search profiles on Google. Obviously, we'll be adding in a bit more information, like the job title, the keywords, and a bit more of the form information that we have. So the search phrase that we'll be actually searching for is CEO AI agency in London, and then the site link there. So that's how the Google Search API actually works. But yeah, so if you've got this in your N8N now and you want to set it up for yourself, we're going to walk through it now. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So I'm just going to pin this data, and then I will show you where to get your Google API keys. Again, when you download this template, you'll have a little notepad here where there'll be instructions on how you can do this. And also, I've set this up for the Apollo template as well, so you'll have just all the stuff there ready to go. But I'm going to show you just in case you get stuck. So what you want to do is come here, click this button here, and then sign in and go to the Google Cloud Console. For this example, I'm already in here, but what you want to do is you just want to create a new project. I'm going to call this LinkedIn 2, because I already have LinkedIn 1. And once you've done that, you'll see that it's creating the project up here. Boom, project created, and then we just want to make sure we're actually inside of that project. And we're just going to type in custom search API. We're going to hit that, and we're going to enable this API. So once you have this API enabled, then we can come back and go to the credential section here. And what we want to do is we just want to create a credential and then click API key. Give it a basic name, doesn't really matter, and then hit create. And then once that has been created, just copy that and come back to the workflow. And then we want to click on this HTTP module, come down, and then in the section where it says key, we just want to copy and paste our key. It's straight in there. Super simple, really easy if you're following along. And then to get this CX code, what we want to do is we want to come over here, click the link here, and then we just want to type in Google search, and then we want to search the entire web, so we just want to click that. You could search specific sites or pages if you wanted to, but for this example we're going to search the entire web. And then we're going to do the verification, hit create, and then you'll see this bit of code pop up. What you want to do is come to the end of where it says CX equals, and then just grab that CX number there, just like that. Come back to the workflow and just paste it straight into that CX section there. And then that is pretty much it. We have that set up. Obviously you'd want to connect your Google Sheets account and then get that all set up. Once you've done that, you've got this pretty much ready to go. You can scrape as many LinkedIn profiles as you want in whatever niche you want instantly. So as you saw, we get tons and tons of leads, and we can just contact them through LinkedIn. But yeah, that is pretty much the first workflow. I'll quickly just go into a little bit more detail and show you all of these other modules. So in this module here, what this is doing is it's determining how many pages we're essentially scraping. And then we have the set field. Again, we're setting how many pages we're doing. So you'll see there, max page is 5. And then Q is the query that we're going to be searching for. And then we're going to loop over each page that we want. So in this case, it will be 5 loops because we are searching 5 pages. In this module that we just set up, again, we've just got our API key, the CX code, and then the query. And then this code node basically just takes all of the Google search stuff. So you'll see here, actually, what we get is just a bunch of random letters and numbers and all sorts of stuff. So what this code node is doing is just pulling out the bits that we need. So the result, you can see we've got the name, the title, the link, the snippet, an image, and in this case that would be their profile picture. But yeah, if you want to know a little bit more about how this code node works, feel free to just screenshot this or just copy and paste the code into ChatGPT and ask it. But you don't really need to touch anything else other than what we've just done with this workflow. Just get your credentials, paste them into this search Google module here, and you're good to go. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the Apollo template now, and I'll show you how to set that up. So moving on to the Apollo lead scraper workflow, this one is going to work slightly different to the previous workflow. In this one, we're going to be using a tool called Apify to scrape the leads from Apollo, and then we're going to filter through, verify email addresses, and then populate the same sheet we were using in the other workflow, the LinkedIn profile workflow. But essentially how this works, pretty similar form input. We run it through, hits Apify, passes the data, sets the data, verifies the email address, updates the sheet. I'll go through this in a little bit more detail in a second. What we're going to do is we're just going to jump straight into this, and we're going to run it to show you the output. One of the major differences with this workflow is that we're going to be scraping a lot more leads. This one we're going to be doing 500 leads at a time, so it's going to take a little bit longer to run than the previous one. But let's chuck in some information here. So we have company size option, whereas the last workflow didn't have this. Do a slightly different search this time. We'll submit the form, we'll pin the data, and then we will execute the workflow. So while this is running in the background, I'll show you each of these modules. So this module basically crafts our search link, our Apollo search link, from the data that we put into the form. So you can see here that we've basically got all our data from the form here, and we're telling it to craft us an Apollo search link. Looks like completely random prompt here, but trust me, it does the job. So when you're in here, don't touch anything. Well, I mean, you can if you want to, but it might break the flow. What it's basically doing is it's going to spit us out a URL, an Apollo search URL essentially, and then we're going to run the Apollo scraper with that URL. So you'll see here in the outputs, that's our search link, and then we are going to use it within our Apify request. So while this is running, I'll show you this. We have our URL here, so that's the active URL on Apify, and then we just have a few bits here, and then we have the JSON body that we're sending. So if this doesn't make much sense to you, all we've done here is we've dragged this search URL into this URL section here, so you can see the result that's popped up there. Then what we're doing is we're passing the data. So we're essentially structuring the data that comes through. So this is all of the stuff on this sheet. So full name, email, title, LinkedIn, company name, company website, summary. Full name, first name, last name, title, email, LinkedIn, company name, company website, company LinkedIn, slightly different, but you get the idea. And then we're just telling it to extract key data, because we're going to get a lot of information similar to the previous workflow where we're just going to get a bunch of just random data that we don't need, and this is just going to essentially just pass the data that we need, that we actually need. Then we're just going to set the data, and we're going to filter through whether we have an email address. So what Apollo might do, or Apify might do, is scrape some leads that don't have an email address. What this is just going to do is make sure that they do have an email address, and then add that to the sheet. So while this is going through now, we're going to quickly have a look at getting your Apify API key all sorted for you. So again, exactly like the previous workflow, I've put all the links here, everything that you need. So all you want to do is click this, create an Apify account. I've already got an Apify account, so I'm just going to head into mine. And then once you're in, you can see all of my previous runs. So that's the one that we've just done. What you want to do is you want to come to settings, click on API, create an API token, just hit copy, and then come back to N8N and put that token in here, in this section here. Leave the bearer bit here, although in the template that you don't download, my API key won't be there, and I will actually be deleting this API key after the video, so don't worry about that, but you can just basically just copy and paste it in there. So cool. While this is going through, hopefully it won't take actually too much longer, but soon we should start seeing the fields getting filled in. So this is all of the information from the previous workflow. So like I mentioned, the previous workflow, the LinkedIn profile scraper, only populates a few of the fields within this sheet, whereas you'll see the difference when these Apollo leads come through. It will populate all of these fields. So finally, the N8N workflow execution has finished. Took a little bit longer than the previous workflow, because of the sheer amount of leads that we're scraping. So let's take a look at the results. So here we've had 362 leads pass through the filter of the email check, like I mentioned earlier. And then let's have a look at the output in our sheet. So boom, there it is. As you can see, we've got tons and tons of leads to look through with a bit more information than the previous workflow. We've got the emails, we've got the company names, we've got the LinkedIns, we've got the company websites that you can look at, and we've also got the summary. So super powerful workflows. As you can see, you can use them to scrape hundreds of leads on a daily basis, and then you're never going to run out of leads essentially with these sort of workflows. So again, you can download both of the templates from the description, and then once you've got the templates, just follow these instructions on either of the templates. Follow them, get your API set up, and you'd be ready to go. So thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed, and have a great day.